over $1 billion of tax debt for taxpayers across the nation. So now's the time. For tax help you need, for tax help you trust, call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-799-0977. That's 800-799-0977. 800-799-0977.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Each spring, hundreds of people from all across Maryland, D.C., Virginia, and beyond gather together for one goal: to raise money for breast cancer research and awareness at the Survivor Soul Stroll. Over the last 3 years, you've helped to raise thousands of dollars for the Sidney Kimmel Comprehensive Cancer Center. But we're not done yet. Join us as we continue the fight against breast cancer at the 4th Annual Survivor Soul Stroll on Saturday, May 30th at beautiful Canton Waterfront Park. For more details or to register, go to WOLBbaltimore.com now. It's the 4th Annual Survivor Soul Stroll on Saturday, May 30th from WOLB 1010.
Selfless service is the guiding principle that drives Army National Guard soldiers to be always ready whenever disaster strikes. They are your next-door neighbors and your colleagues in schools, offices, and factories. To be a Guard soldier is to stand ready to serve at all times for family, for community, and for country. To learn more, log on to NationalGuard.com or contact an Army National Guard recruiter in your area.
Sponsored by the Maryland Army National Guard. Aired by the Maryland, D.C., Delaware Broadcasters Association and this station.
WOLB Baltimore and WERQ FM HD3 Baltimore.
The views and opinions of the guest and host you hear on 1010 WOLB
are not necessarily those of the staff and management of Radio 1, its sponsors, or advertisers.
It's done unto you as you believe. It's done unto you as you believe. I'm gonna get there, yes, somehow. Push my way through the crowd. I'm gonna grab you by the hand to a place we will stand. Stand proud, no fear. It's clear, I believe in you. I believe in me. Oh yeah, I believe that we can make this dream a reality. Yeah, yeah. Now's the time to be. 'Now's the time for miracles. Oh, it's in my heart so deep. 'Cause I believe.
Do you believe? Do you believe? Good morning, each and everyone listening on WOLB 1010 AM. You are now tuned in and locked in to the Patrick Henderson's Meet the People radio show. I'm hoping that this morning, listening to that song, that you believe that we could make all of our dreams reality. That's why we are here each and every Monday at 11:30. Here to have those discussions, to talk about our dreams, our aspirations, to bring some inspiration, and hopefully turn some of our ideas into reality. Welcome, everyone. I am your producer, sitting at the console this morning. I like to go by the abolitionist, Brother Jason. I don't believe myself to be a community activist. I consider myself to be more of a liberator and trying to liberate my people. We have, of course, our co-host and our host on the line. Let me start first with our co-host. This distinguished gentleman is a champion in civil rights in Baltimore. Has been on the battlefield for many eons. We ain't gonna say how many eons because then we have to tell his age, but been on the battlefield for many years. When you hear that song, I'm a classic man, this is the definition of a classic man. Family, please welcome the marvelous Marvin Doc Cheatham. Good morning, sir.
Well, good morning, and I surely can't pay you for those great words. I don't know if I can live up to any of them, but to God be the glory. Is our leader there with you?
Our leader's here too, and Doc. I mean, if I could just, walk a little bit in those Gator shoes, that you put in these streets of Baltimore. But yeah, family, we also have our co-host with us. This gentleman is known as the Godfather of Praise and Worship. He is a worldly man, been all over the globe, bringing inspiration, praise, and worship. Written many songs for many artists in the industry. Family, help me welcome the legendary Patrick Henderson.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Can you hear me, Jay?
Yeah, I hear you loud and clear. Good morning, sir.
All right. Bless the Lord. Thank you, Doc Marvin Cheatham, for being there. And everything that Jason said about you is true. And we thank God for you in this city. And, Jason, I like that you're an abolitionist. I love that. That's a new handle you've attached, and I like that. But you are an activist, too. I don't think you can be an abolitionist without being an activist.
Yes, sir.
They're both verbs, so require action. So, thankfully, God has kept us. So everybody that's listening, the reason I'm not there is because we're all on quarantine from the station. We can't even go into the station, so that's why I'm not there. For those of you who are wondering where I am or why I'm not there, but I don't know if you all have just heard because it just came out. The governor has issued a stay-at-home. Did you know about that, Jason?
Yeah, we was going to talk about that later on, and as we get started in the program, I wanted you to lead us into prayer, and then I believe we have Mitria on the line. Sister Mitria, you there with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
Good morning.
Now, I could talk about your accolades as well if you'd like, and bring you in.
But,
that's
okay.
But this is family, Lemetria Henderson, Patrick Henderson's sister, of course, is in the medical field, and we are truly pleased to have her with us. She is a frontliner, so she is out there right now. In the medical field, in the hospitals, addressing the COVID-19 issue in Texas. So, and we appreciate your expertise this morning.
Yes, Jason. She's worked with the Veterans Administration for over 30 years. So not only has she out there, she just retired, but she has done incredible things in helping the veterans, especially the women veterans, going and cooking for them and taking care of them, because a lot of them suffer from post-traumatic stress. And she's just been a nurse. I could never understand until I realized she was born to be a nurse, born to be a carer of other people. So love you, Lemetria. Thank you for joining us today. And thank all of you all.
Thank you.
Who joined us today to listen. Right now, listen, if you can touch your radio, you're not driving, you're in a safe place, which most of you hopefully are. Let us bow our heads and go before God in grace and in prayer. Oh God, our Father, Lord, we bless you for this day. We thank you for another day, oh God, that we opened our eyes, oh God, and saw the sunshine, oh God. Even though we might be locked in our houses, oh God, we still thank you for the opportunity to say thank you. To say thank you for all that you do, for all you've done, oh God. Ask you right now, Lord, to bless our city, to help our city, to touch our governor as he leads us, oh God, to try to keep us safe, oh God. And those who are ill and those who are frightened and are uncertain, oh God, we ask you to give them your peace that does pass all understanding, oh God. Those that are working in the medical field, oh God, we ask you to keep them safe, oh God. And all those that come into the hospital, oh God, we rebuke the spirit of fear right now in the name of Jesus, we pray, oh God, because God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of a sound mind, oh God. Let us stand and just know that we are protected because we're doing the right things, oh God. Don't make us foolish, oh God, thinking because we're covered by you that we cannot contact this virus. We can, oh God, as we're reading churches that are having large amounts of people, oh God, tens of people getting affected with this virus, oh God. Give us wisdom during this time, oh Lord. Help us, oh God, guide us. Lord, bless our children who are locked in the houses, can't get out, oh God. Oh, God, help them. Oh, God, help their parents to understand and to be patient with them, oh, God, because they're scared too. Oh, Lord, help us, oh, God. Give us peace, oh, Lord. Let your love abide in us in every way because love is the miracle. And we thank you, oh, Lord, for all that you're doing. Bless our nation, oh, God. All those that are in the hospital, oh, God. We read about the refrigerators that are storing bodies, oh God, of people dying. It frightens us and it scares us, oh God. But, oh God, quicken our wisdom, quicken our minds, oh God. Let us not be wholly bold at this time, oh God, but let us be wholly wise, oh God. We thank you for this time together. In my Son, Jesus Christ's name, I pray. Amen.
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 You want powerful prayer, my leader. You want powerful prayer today.
Yeah.
Man, I tell you, God is just not only is he real, but he's realer because we realize if we listen, and we keep to ourselves and understand that we have to do this. We don't have any choice at this time. But, man, I'm telling you, God is my peace because he's broken down walls. If I started to testify about him, I tell you, we'd be here all day, and many of you, just look back on what he's done to realize what he can do. And when we do that, man, we are just much more at peace with ourselves. And you can't do nothing if you're not at peace. And, Bishop Blake used to say that prayer is spiritual therapy. It is. It quiets the mind so that you can think rationally and you can resolve things. But if you're in a constant state of chaos, that's what your house is going to be and what you're going to be. Find a way to find the peace, and you find God because God is our peace. So,
family, if you that testimony that Patrick is talking about will soon be out in the book, by the way. So just be prepared.
Yes, Lord. Yes, it's coming. It's coming. I wanted to start the show off by Doc telling us about what's going on with the feeding programs for our children.
Well, I want to thank you so much for this opportunity. Really want to thank anybody and everybody for all that has been done and will be done. I just want to say a message to our city leader, our city officials, especially those that are elected and holding positions. Please join with you in some of these decision makings that you're doing. Include some people in neighborhoods that may not be the wealthiest in the community. There are some decisions that need to be made that will positively affect those that are needing the most. There have been, unfortunately, some decisions that have been made by city officials that have not benefited those that are the neediest, those that are most vulnerable. We found from the Freddie Gray riots 5 years ago what things that need to be done. My community was hit hardest than any in the city, which is the Easterwood Matthew Henderson community. So we had experience 3 weeks ago when the city put out this listing of where food was going to be provided, that there were a number of neighborhoods throughout the city that had been neglected because those that were making the decisions were not familiar with the communities that they were sending food out to. I can only use my own. I don't like talking about other people's neighborhoods, but they actually had slated food distribution in my community that was going to require our children to walk past U.S. Route 1, both on Fulton and Monroe Streets, and walk up the hill a quarter of a mile, and these are elementary school kids. When we finally got that information to them, and here it was just last week, they had scheduled, and most of these meals are aimed for children. Well, unfortunately, these same city officials had assigned one location in our area, I'm the Easterwood Matthew Henderson area, that they weren't going to give the kids food until 2 o'clock, but they label it as breakfast and lunch. Well, I don't know anybody that eats breakfast at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I haven't heard of anything like that. And then I'm seeing our mayor and some of our city officials counting their tests. They were so excited that some folks that don't look like our community were kind enough to come to Douglas High School and pass out food when the food market is right across the street. Why would you pick Douglas High School when Shoppers is right across the street? Why didn't you pick Carver that's in a food desert? Some of the decisions that our folks are making. And let me shut down with this. There are 7 major areas when we look at people that are vulnerable in urban areas that you have to consider. First and foremost is our children.
Yes.
Second are our seniors. Third are those that are disabled. Fourth are those that are shut in. Fifth are the homeless. 6 are those that are addicted, and 7 are those that have mental illnesses. We realized this 5 years ago, and 2 weeks ago, we actually set up our own food distribution since the city gave us no help. Zero help that the city give us. Our community for 5 days, 8 hours from Monday to Friday, we distributed 1,800 bags of food because the city had really dropped the ball and not helped us. So I'm asking the city, keep doing what you're doing, but put some people who know these urban areas, that know the communities, because you got elected officials that don't have a clue what they're doing.
Wow. Who helped you all? I want to give them a shout out. You told me.
There was one major institution. That group is the Baltimore Franciscan Center. They're the ones who provided us with from 11 o'clock each Monday through Friday. That was 2 weeks ago. They provided us with food at 11, and we served food from 11 till 4. It gave us an hour to shut down so we wouldn't get locked up at 5 o'clock. But the Baltimore Franciscan Center, I have totally, and my community has fallen in love. And we had a little over 20 volunteers. The average age was 50. So you had basically seniors doing what our elementary school would not do, what our recreation center would not do, and they were forced by the community basically rising up and saying, if y'all are serving 100 possible meals a day, and here you have a community, and they're serving 360 meals a day, there's some great disparity. Y'all not feeding the people that clearly need to be fed.
Absolutely. The thing that amazes me is that you found that the school, Matthew Henderson, the principal, was not on guard and told the people that you had no right to enter the building. I know you might not want to talk about this, but we want to talk about how the principals, if they're not shepherds, remember, y'all going to keep hearing me talking about it. We don't need no evangelists in this city. We need shepherds. We need pastors to be over our schools, to be in our city government, people who care about the people. And it's important. Now, can you imagine in my after-school program, every day, man, if I couldn't get the food, I'd go buy the food and cook it myself for those kids. And I tell you, 50% of them say, Mr. Henderson, can I take some home to my mom? Because that was the last meal they were going to get that day. So starvation in Baltimore is real. Y'all might not want to accept it. You say, how can that be? But like Doc said, they'll open up a big center right there at Douglas, right across the street from the grocery store. There are no grocery stores in the Matthew Henderson area and in the area that Doc lives in. So people can't even walk to the store. Then to put it where kids have to cross major thoroughfares to try to get to it and then walk a half a mile to get to it. Somebody's not paying attention. That's because they are evangelists. They're not shepherds. And until we get that mentality in this city, we shall know them by their works. Okay, you should know them by their works or their lack of, who they are. And we should make sure they don't get reelected. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Patrick, and things are becoming even more complicated by the minute. So we have breaking news breaking in. Governor Hogan at his 11 o'clock press conference has issued an executive order to stay at home. Violators can actually get jail time as well as a fine of $5,000. Wow. This executive order starts at 8 p.m. this evening. So what do we do in a circumstance where we now have an executive order in and we still have children that still need to be fed, and are not necessarily technically allowed to come out?
Wow.
So this becomes even more complicated. Now, I understand the circumstances. Yesterday, I reported on my Facebook, every day the Maryland Department of Health issues the new numbers of corona or COVID-19 cases being documented. And yesterday, we were at 2, 39. Today, we are at 1,430. So we're 1,400, over 1,400 cases, an increase of 174 new confirmed corona cases in the state of Maryland. Now, I understand what's going on, but we also need to make sure that we are making some sort of amenities and means for folks like seniors and our children and those who may have a disability who are the most vulnerable under a state of emergency like this.
You know, I saw a friend of mine yesterday in Walmart with his children, and the children were touching shelves, touching ladders and stuff. People don't believe that the children can be affected, but the children can give it to you. Because they can give it to you and they not even be affected.
Right.
So people need to realize you shouldn't even take your children out in public. You really shouldn't, and you should put gloves on them and have some sanitizer in their pocket. So every time they touch something, they can wash their hands. We got to get real.
You're right. People don't believe it can happen to them. That's what it is.
Lemetria, down there in Texas, are they having any stay-at-home orders currently?
Oh, we have starting almost 2 weeks now. We've had stay-at-home orders. They give a ticket. If they catch you, they can put you in jail for 180 days. It just depends on what the cops feel like, because, of course, the jury system or the court system is down. So if you go to jail, you're going to be in there for a while. So, no, they started this about 2 weeks ago here. So, but you still see a lot of people on the street. I mean, if you go on the freeway, the traffic is the same, you know. So I don't understand what's going on. I really don't know. They've been had it here, and they are stopping people, giving them tickets.
All right. I think we're going to have a problem here.
To the grocery store, huh?
No, I was saying I think we're going to have a problem here with trying to administer this executive order in the state of Maryland, because I saw over the weekend, folks having house parties. Matter of fact, one man was arrested for having, a house party that had more than 30 people in the home.
Wow.
We're 10.
Jason, we're getting a delay. I can hear you. I hope the people that are listening are not getting it.
Yeah.
But we're getting a delay. And I wanted to say to my friends up in Connecticut, Tom Doherty, he says they should start a GoFundMe and deliver the food right to the people's doors. That's a great idea.
Folks online are chiming in. I mean, the activity is crazy this morning, Patrick. Charles says it's a mad rush until 8 p.m. You're exactly right. Folks are going to be running out trying to get last-minute things done. Tom online is saying that they should start a GoFundMe and deliver the right foods to their doors. So they should possibly, instead of having the children come out, they should actually have a delivery service for the children as well as the seniors. I know that there's some churches doing that.
Wonder why maybe we can't get Lyft or the other company to do that.
Right.
There's a way to keep those children in the house, because you don't know who's in their house, and if they're sick, go and leave it at the door.
And Charles is bringing up the fact that I work for Uber Eats and Jason he says that Jason will feed you. Now, don't get me wrong. Now, if there is a senior out there, or someone out there that is vulnerable, I would not mind bringing out or delivering or working with someone to help with deliveries when I'm not.
I would like to suggest.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Doc.
Go ahead.
I always yield to this intelligent lady you got here, and I got to meet your sister.
Yes.
I gotta say this, that I commend the governor on a number of fronts, but there's currently an ability for folks that have seniors and for seniors to call and be able to get on a list where you will get a call from the state on a regular basis, making certain that you are doing all right. I did send out last night an email to our community residents, having them physically go and check on every senior. We have 50 blocks in my neighborhood, over 1,200 houses. So I'm asking every neighbor to take it upon themselves very carefully and health conscious, but make certain you knock on every door where we have a senior living alone to make certain they're doing okay. And we need to get them this information. So if they are willing to get a regular call from the state inquiring about their health, I'm encouraging my residents to support this. I also want to say to folks, I did see on Saturday something I'm discouraging our residents from. Get whatever food you need to take care of you and your family for the period of time that you will next be able to go acquire that. But do not be so greedy that you take far more than you really need. There are a number of us that need items, and I'm just suggesting get what you need. I'm not discouraging us not to do that, but let's not be so anxious to fill up weeks and weeks and weeks of food when you know that there are others in the neighborhood, such as my neighborhood, that there is no food market, that there is no fast food restaurant where you can get something to eat. So let's be kind and gentle in how we get these items, especially the ones that are free.
Yeah.
Brother, that's a great idea. Is there a number? Do you have that number that seniors could call, Doc?
I'm going to do it better than this. Here is the website. I'll go back on it. We have what we consider to be probably the most informative website of any community. I put emphasis on community in the state of Maryland. Here's the website, and we have international, national, and local and state news that we put up every day. The website is this. It's www.mhcdc. MHCDC.net. MHCDC stands for Matthew Henderson Community Development Corporation. MHCDC.net, and click on COVID-19 or click on coronavirus, and you will see documents are coming from all over the world, the World Health Organization, the CDC, the governor, the mayor. You will see articles that we are publishing every day to keep people informed, so you don't have to go scurrying around 50 different websites. You can actually go to our website, and if there's something that we're not posting, let us know. We feel we have probably the most informative coronavirus website in the state of Maryland for a community group.
Well, we thank you for your due diligence, Doc. Pat, you want to start going to the lines?
Yeah, I do. But Brother Charles Johnson said ATM machines will be out of service. Cards only, no deposit. So that's the number. Yeah.
I got the number. I got the phone number. Here's the number. It's called Senior Call Check. Senior Call Check, a daily call to check on residents home alone. Here's the number. Call 1-866-50-CHECK. 1-866-50-CHECK, CHECK. Or register online, aging.maryland.gov. Again, that's aging.maryland.gov. And Senior Call Check is called 1-866-50-CHECK.
All right, and we posted that on our Facebook as well as we were speaking, Doc, and we appreciate it. And if we could repeat that a few times throughout the program so that folks that are just joining us can get that information and maybe even pass it out to a senior as well. Folks, if you want to join the conversation, you can give us a call at 410-481-1010. Again, that number is 410-481-1010. You could also listen to us streaming live on WOLBbaltimore.com. And we are, of course, streaming live on Facebook, Periscope, and YouTube. I apologize, though. Our distinguished hosts are not in the studio, and unfortunately, you just have to look at me today. But
handsome brother, but he's married, ladies. He's married.
Let's go to the line real quick before we get to the top of the hour, Patrick. We have Brother Leon on the line. Brother Leon, thank you for joining Patrick Henderson's Meet the People.
Yes, sir. How you guys doing?
Good morning.
Doing great.
First, I'd like to commend Doc. He held down a federal job while being the president of the NAACP. That's how far I remember him, and I'm 77 years old.
Good to you.
I want to first. I've left my number a couple of times because I had information for Doc, and hopefully I'll leave it again at the end of my statement. But I know that the less fortunate in his community I live in Northeast. I know that they're going to pick this food up from Douglas, and they got a market right across the street. Well, I was in Giant the other day, this was last week, and I saw a truck. Evidently, it was contracted by the city, and they had a sign on it that said "Food for You," but it was in the Giant supermarket. Now, the people were coming out to the grocery store with groceries, and they were giving them the food out of the truck. Now, we have 2 schools that are located within, I'd say, 6 to 8 blocks of the Giant on 33rd Street. It would seem to me that since the schools are closed, those trucks would locate there. And people could come with their children and get the food, which is actually supposed to be designated for the children.
Right.
And the guy looked at me with a jaundiced eye, but I got pictures of the whole mess because I adjusted my mirror to take the pictures that I have in my possession that I'm going to send to the mayor's office.
Wow.
Also, I would like to tell Doc that the less fortunate in his community, I'm quite sure, that are getting the food, they don't have money to contribute. So if they have a number, if Doc has a number, where I can send a check or I can send it to his house as a contribution to pay for the food that I'm quite sure that they're getting and they're not paying for. And I've been doing it all year. I want a pension, okay? Get a few pensions. But I can't afford to, contribute to the efforts of Doc and his people over in that area.
That's a great idea, Leon. And Doc, I would like to suggest that in order to keep this going, are the Franciscans still helping you all, Doc, or do you all need money to buy food?
We did it for a week, and we felt we finally got the message through to the city, who had given us not one bit of help at all. We think the message got to them. There are a number of candidates running that came and visited us. I appreciate the offer. My community is very blessed that we have some folks that are retired like me, that we don't charge our residents for anything. But we would ask that you keep us in prayer. The Franciscan Center did all they did for free, so we would suggest, as we suggested to others, that you make the contribution, if you'd like to do such, to the Baltimore Franciscan Center to enable them to keep doing what they're doing. And we appreciate it so much.
Doc? Where are they located?
I tell you what, as soon as I pull up another website, I'll give you that information. And thanks for the offer.
Appreciate the work you do.
And we're at the top of the hour, family. Don't you go anywhere. You're listening to Patrick Henderson's Meet the People radio show. We have so much more information to share with you. I'm going to share with you who's actually going to get the check, the $1,200 check from the government later on after we come from this station ID. Don't you go anywhere.
So please don't let the time you've sown be wasted on things that you later regret.
WOLB Baltimore and WERQ FM HD3 Baltimore. Brought to you by Live Casino and Hotel.
The views and opinions of the guest and host you hear are not necessarily those of the staff and management of Radio 1, its sponsors, or advertisers.
This is not a time to get distracted.
Yes, family, this is not the time to get distracted. Not under these circumstances. Welcome back to Patrick Henderson's Meet the People radio show right here on WOLB 1010 AM. Family, I wanted to share with the group really quick as who's going to get these $1,200 $1,200 stimulus checks that are going out, if I could. Now, if you've filed your federal taxes for 2018, you will be eligible for $1,200. A married couple will be getting $2,400 if you file jointly. If you did not file a tax return but was eligible because you did have a W-2, there's still time for you to be able to receive the check. What you have to do is you have to go online and fill out a 1040 as soon as possible. The other thing is that, and we were talking about this yesterday, Patrick, and I think this is a great time to transition into the conversation, is that those who currently owe child support will not be eligible to receive the $1,200. And I think that this is an issue. I know that when I was dealing with child support, there was many times that it was not documented or it was not reported properly. And I had to go down there to Howard Street and get it straightened out. My license was flagged I don't know how many times, and I was riding around on suspended license and didn't realize it. And what's interesting, family, is that my child support came directly out of my check. So there was no way that I could have been behind or arreared. But what the problem was that by the time my payroll department submitted it to the Department for Child Support Enforcement, there was always a delay. And they were always quick to flag me, but they weren't quick to remove those flags. And many times I was driving around with a suspended license. Now, I know under these circumstances, there are many fathers that struggle to pay child support. And right now, with, over 3.3 million people out of work currently or who have filed for unemployment and is going to be continually growing. And in this circumstances, with the executive order that has been issued today by Governor Hogan, with the stay-at-home order, that means that more folks are going to be out of work. And we know that a lot of times, especially black fathers here in Baltimore City, tend to be in service-related industries, hospitality. They tend to be in those industries. And right now, they may be out of work and may be struggling. And if anything, that $1,200 could really help them and maybe even help their children at the same time. So, family, what do you think?
Well, I'd like to say that we've been talking about this for the past 2 weeks. Do you all know that still in Baltimore, in the state of Maryland, that if you're behind in your child support, that they can take your driver's license? So that means you can't even get to work. This is barbaric. It is counterproductive. And so to know that these things are happening like this is just unbelievable that it's allowed to happen. Who's watching over us? That is the question. Who's watching? Who cares at City Hall? Nobody. There was a great article. Well, it wasn't great because it was great. It was so well written in the Baltimore Sun talking about this child support. So it's just sad, man, because the children suffer. You know.
Yeah,
the children suffer.
And I understand. I understand, Patrick. There are some folks out there, they're trying to address deadbeat fathers, and I do understand that aspect of it. But again, the system many times, and we were talking about, relying too much on governmental agencies and systems sometimes because they are not infallible, and they do. From time to time work very inefficiently. My grandfather used to tell me all the time that government moves like a battleship. And when you have to turn that battleship around, it takes forever for that battleship, to make that U-turn. So we know that many cases of child support that, that fathers are struggling and trying to deal with the bureaucracy and the governmental agencies that are behind the management. And in some cases, subcontractors, because at the time, PSI was the subcontractor that I was dealing with in reference to child support. And PSI was very inefficient. And I would see guys all the time down there on Charles Street, on Howard Street. We'd be down there on Howard Street, all of us, having to take a day off from work to go speak to a caseworker just to have them lift a flag off of our license or to straighten out our child support and make arrangements. So, we know that the system is inefficient and sometimes, they make constant errors in the process. But I don't. If you pay taxes, I don't see that fathers who are dealing with child support should not be eligible to receive the $1,200 stimulus because, again, it may help them, it may help their families in the process, and it may help them to be able to get out of some of the circumstances that they are currently in, because they're dealing with unemployment right now.
Right. Well, I'm going to say this and not really endorsing, but the only person that I've even heard mention this in their campaign speeches or talk about it is the Ruviga Naraji. He's got an incredible plan for child support, and but nobody else is even talking about it. But I'm liking, what's her name, Mary Miller?
Yeah, Mary Miller.
Yeah, she's saying some important things in there, but I know she hasn't said anything about child support. But this is something because it's straight. The person who has these children can't get ahead. The kids can't get ahead, and it strangles the family. So something needs to be done about it. And this is showing you right now because they need that money more than anybody for their babies. And they're not going to be able to get it. So here we are.
Yeah. And family, if you are on SSDI or on Social Security and you haven't filed taxes, you can, according to the article that I'm reading, again, you would have to go online to the IRS website and just fill out a quick 1040 form, and that would make you eligible. You want to do it right now because the checks are going through the process of being administered. So you want to make sure that you get that cleared up right away. So
what about SSI?
What about
SSI?
SSI?
Yeah, SSI, then not SSI.
So most folks that file Social Security do not file a tax return. But under this circumstance,
That's not true.
Well, some folks don't. I know plenty.
Some people.
Right, I said some people. Correct, not all. But if you haven't filled out one, I'm telling you that this is the opportunity now to fill out one for the previous year, so that you can become eligible for the $1,200 stimulus.
Okay.
So you can qualify. You just need to just correct that and make sure that you have a 1040 on file.
Well, Brother Charles Johnson is on talking about 401ks, and probably a lot of people that work for the government, right? They have 401ks, and he's contending that, we know that he says they're going to steal it, but if they haven't already sold all those stocks, then their account is not being managed properly because they lost $2 trillion in the last month.
Patrick, I've spoken to folks that have lost easily 20 to 30% already in their 401ks. Like they've actually looked at the numbers from previous years and looked at currently what's in there, and they've easily lost 30 to 20% already. So, and we know that the market is still very volatile right now. And it's still in a what they call a bear market, so it's in a sell-off market right now. So we have the lines are filled up. You can grab a line as well, 410-481-1010. Let's go to Brother Bubby, our housing warrior. Good morning, brother Bubby.
Hey, how you doing? Well, remember in my earlier life, I was a fatherhood counselor for the Center for Fathers Family Workforce Development, where I specialize in helping men with child support. Let's be very careful about this because this has set up to create an albatross around the necks of low-paid men, especially African American men.
Yes, sir.
Now, if you doesn't understand how capricious and cruel this system is, now just imagine a young man making $8 an hour who have 2 baby mothers or 2 child support cases.
Right.
Now, how can you afford to live anywhere making $8 an hour with 2 cases against you? Let's say, for instance, on a low end, it's $200 a pay coming out that person pays. That's $400 a month.
Yeah.
And then you deal with the payroll system at your job, like you mentioned, Jason, that it takes a while for a payroll to start sending the court-imposed child support to the parent, or let's say non-custodial and custodial parent.
Right.
But something that I would like to touch upon, and I think, first of all, child support drive a wedge not just between the father and the baby mother, but it drives a wedge between the father and the child because the father look at it as the child being used as a pawn in this game. Now, let's be quite honest, Jake. You know, sometimes men and women, they separate and the man move on.
Yeah.
Based upon the maturity factor of the young woman who then punished that man for not having another intimate relationship with her, they deny the kid.
Yeah.
So they use the child as the pawn. But let me get off this.
And then as the non-custodial parent, because I've gone through it, and and I've asked the state, I wanted to try to straighten out whatever visitation, with my child, and I was told, because I was the non-custodial parent, that I had no right, to access to my child,
Exactly.
Yeah.
And let me just say this, gentlemen. I heard and I read that Mayor Jack Young is giving the first responders $200 extra on their paycheck. Now, keep in mind, the first responders in Baltimore City are what? The police, the firefighters, the nurses, and doctors, right? Now, keep in mind, 85% of them does not live in the city of Baltimore. I am a city employee. I have been working every day in areas that is considered to be high risk for this virus. Why would the mayor give people who do not live in the city of Baltimore financial reparations for doing their job, but won't give the Baltimore City employees the same right? And let's be clear, we have the Sawyers Union in America in AFSCME Council 67, Local 44, led by Glenard, Bernard, Glenard, Middleton. This is shameful that this man refused to say that we do not have proper PPE. That is personal protection equipment. Because his relationship with Jack Young, he will not stand up for the employees that he represents. Now, you look at CEOs of agencies that make 10 times more than the union employees, and this man have not opened his mouth. Can someone answer that question for me?
I'd like to see if someone either from the union or someone from the city, you're more than welcome to call into the show. Many times they consider this to be the lion's den, but you're more than welcome to call the show and to answer to anything that Brother Bubby has just currently stated.
Jason, I work for the city. I have 20 years of service with this Baltimore City.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I appreciate your tireless efforts and your commitment to the community as well. Brother Bubby, let me ask you something really quick. Something, I don't mean to change the subject, but what's the deal going on currently with the affordable housing circumstances here in Baltimore City? I'm currently looking for housing myself. I really don't make that much money, especially being a community activist. I try to make myself available to the community. But I've gone on the HABC's website and have seen that basically there's no resources for affordable housing. They don't provide any links or resources for affordable housing, and they're not taking any applications in reference to affordable housing. So what seems to be going on?
Great question, Brother Jason. This is what's going on. You have Janet Abrams, the now CEO and president of the Baltimore City Housing Authority. She in the pocket of Jack Young and Glenard Bernard Middleton, where they refuse to do anything against this woman. If you remember, months ago in December, I called and said, "Was you aware that they are stopping the affordable housing list? They are shutting it off."
Yeah, and they purged it. They forced those that in many cases are having housing circumstances, so they're not able to, in some cases, receive mail or receive notification.
That's right.
In reference to the purge.
Let's be clear. It was over 71,000 persons who filled out for affordable housing in 2015. Now that date in 2020, it is less than 8,000. Why? Because you just mentioned she purged the road by sending notification to residents where these people haven't lived in decades.
Right.
But let's be perfectly clear. She is part of the gentrification effort in this city that is pushing moderate income and African-American people out of this city, so this become a Caucasian-led and run city. Mark my words, Jason, Housing has been the key, and you need to ask the Inspector General, Miss Mercedes Cummings, why have she not followed through on none of the information I gave her concerning the fraud at the Baltimore City Housing Authority? She can investigate how many hours this person worked. I can tell you, Abrams ain't in the office on 8 hours a day because I try to call every day and they tell me she's not there. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Yeah, Brother Bubby, I'm going to throw one more thing out there, and I know I'm going to rattle some feathers this afternoon. But so I called my city council member, Christopher Burnett, who is just an excellent council member, and I spoke to him about access and trying to find affordable housing, especially in my district, because I still wanted to stay in my district. And I suggested to him about going to Reginald Scriber, who we originally had an agreement with in reference to trying to find affordable housing with me and my wife. And I was told that it was a fruitless effort to go through Reginald Scriber, that Reginald Scriber, and this is the quote from the city council's office, from Christopher Minette's office, that basically there is no control over Reginald Scriber. Nobody controls Reginald Scriber. He does basically what he wants to do, when he wants to do it, and for whoever he wants to do it for.
This is a quote from Lucky Crosby Sr. concerning Reginald Scriber. He is the worst black man. He treats them men and women less than dogs at the Baltimore City Housing Authority, and no one does anything about it. He protected by people like Larry Young, who come on and thing.
Well, let's not do that, Bubby. We've spoke to you about that before.
What I can't say, the person that protects all these sorry politicians in Baltimore City.
No. So we don't bring up other names of other programs in here. So we don't talk about any other programs in here. We deal with the accountability of our program and what we say here.
He should have been terminated along with Graziano, but they allow him to park his vehicle in front of the building. He does nothing for no one in this city. There have been thousands of complaints against this man, and nothing is done.
All right, thank you, Brother Bubby. We appreciate you.
Jason, I want to say, I have a friend who has a contracting business, and they're trying to buy up. Okay, let me finish, please. Hold on. Who is that?
No, we don't hear anybody. That's you, Patrick. You're
okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That with a contracting business, they're trying to buy up the houses, some of these houses, and they go in there, and the house has lead in it. It has lead in it, and yes, I know. Okay, and they go in there and they make them remediate the lead windows and stuff when they're getting ready to demolish it, and make them pay for that, and then they go to demolish it, and which kicks up the cost of it when they're going to demolish the whole thing and tear out all that stuff. Now, this is the city that does that, which slows down the housing.
Right. But I can understand that because of the poison, but what I don't understand is that's not the same standard for Baltimore City. So when Baltimore City gets, the $2 million, dollars from the core program to tear down homes in Baltimore City, I see them bring a wrecker out and just pull the house apart. I don't see any remediation. I don't see any wrapping up of the houses.
Right.
And I see very little control in reference to the construction dust that's created in the process, which is spewing that stuff.
So this is where these exactly. So what? Exactly.
I think you're hearing an echo, Patrick. Just keep talking.
And what this does is this shows you that the city politicians are in the back pockets of these people that do this remediation for the lead. If you tearing up the building, you're tearing out all the windows and replacing them. Why should you pay double? Because you're gonna put new windows anyway. Why should you fix what you're getting ready to tear down? That's insanity. It is corruption staring us in the face.
Right. All right. Well, Patrick, let's go to the lines. We have Brother Carlos. Good afternoon, Brother Carlos. You're on with Patrick Henderson's Meet the People.
Wow, what a powerful show. Listen, I have just a comment, but I have a heads up that I wanted to give the family, if I could, in reference to the coronavirus. Now, the comment is that, unfortunately, Brother Bobby doesn't understand that the dogs come before the people. They flew in hundreds of dogs from the Middle East, and a lot of them are on the streets of Baltimore being adopted by the other persuasion. By the way, a lot of these dogs and so forth can transmit the coronavirus, which we have to be on the alert for. Now, here's the heads up. Patrick, you're familiar with vitamin D3.
Yes, sir.
Which you use as a therapy for your prostate. Now, according to research that's been pretty well validated across the spectrum, vitamin D3 can also be used to build up the immune system and the respiratory system against viruses, such as the coronavirus. Now, so if you take a certain amount of D3 for black people who have the dark skin, and they they don't absorb the sunlight, because vitamin D comes primarily from sunlight, but has to be supplemented because of our dark skin and so forth. You can help to fight off itself to your respiratory system. Now, the cheapest form that our old parents and ancestors used to use, they used to give us a tablespoon of cod liver oil on a daily basis.
Yes.
This is the most direct way that you can get that vitamin D into your system, and it's most effective. Now, we used to be able to buy it over the counter just about everywhere, drug stores and grocery stores, but now it's becoming somewhat scarce and so forth. But I wanted I wanted to alert the family that if you can't find that, then get the vitamin D tablets, but in as higher international units or IUs as you can. And no matter if you took 5,000 or 6,000, according to the scientific research, there is no toxicity involved. In other words, the body can handle it and dispose of whatever excess it does not use. So I just wanted to, because you folks have been so dedicated, and your sisters in the medical field and what have you. If you go on YouTube and you look at these particular videos, that research has been done on the vitamin D and its effect on the body, you'll be somewhat amazed. At what results seem to indicate. But I wanted to bring that to your attention. And I'm on my regimen, and I try to get as much sun exposure as I can during the day, so that being an African American, I know that we have to protect ourselves. Thank you very much.
Just make sure, Brother Carlos, you're following the governor's orders. That's all. Just don't get yourself in trouble.
Well, I think the governor has to make an exception for people going to the drug stores to get their medications.
I'm pretty sure.
Stuff like that.
But that's going to be everybody's excuse. That's going to be.
I'm not worried about that.
Right.
I'm not worried about being as a single individual. I'm talking about a person going out driving to the drug stores, or to pick up my prescription, or to pick up my groceries. I'm not going to phase away from that, because that's a survival mode, and
of course.
I don't think that the government would require us not to take care of ourselves.
He didn't specify. They didn't specify.
Well, of course he said essential employees, are allowed to be out. That's pretty much the gist of it. So, they always say essential employees or...
They specified in Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You can go to the liquor store. You can go to the grocery store. You can go and get gas. You can go to the pharmacy. You can go to a restaurant as long as you're picking up food.
Right. In other words, I'm looking. I'm going to look at that particular what do you call it, the edict or what have you, and see what's involved there. But I don't see where if you did group things, activities, and things of that nature, and you kind of flaunted the law and what have you, I think you'd have a problem. But anyway, I'll leave that for further consultation and so forth.
Thank you.
And thank you for taking my call.
Thank you, Brother Carlos. And I do have a copy of the executive order, family. I will be going through it probably after we come back from our break. Let's see if we can grab one more person. There is a line open for you, 410-481-1010. Again, the number is 410-481-1010. Brother Gene, you've been waiting patiently. Good afternoon. You're on Patrick Henderson's Beat the People.
Good afternoon, guys. Yeah, we get a lot of subjective information and not too much objective information on talk radio, except on this show.
We appreciate that, brother.
Yeah, for them, and I truly believe that. In reference to finance, you were talking about finance and monies that have been lost on 401ks, mainly because people didn't reallocate their distribution. And a real simple thing, you pick up the phone and you call, and you do that. But I was a benefits administrator for a major bank in Baltimore, and I just found that was true with most people. They generally are afraid to, reallocate their distribution in their 401ks. And then what happens is when you retire and you roll your money over into an IRA, of some sort, might be, whatever. I won't be too specific. But if you roll it over into an IRA, this is what I did, and I suggested this the day after the stock market began to crash in February. I said, call up, take your money out. Right? You could take it out. You have 90 days from the date that check was issued. And you can put the money back in, and you would not even skip a heartbeat. Right. In other words, it would be just like you never took the money out. You just put it back in 90 days, and that's what I did.
A Roth account, the Roth IRA
can't do that.
Means that you won't have to pay taxes out of it later, right?
No, you will not.
Right. So
you will not. I did it, and it's where my money is. My money's now in the bank. And I got 6 figures. It's in the bank. Right. And then I still have now. I got about 45 days to decide whether I want to put it back in. I was looking at real estate, something else to put the money in. But that's a real simple strategy that people can use. Now, if you didn't do it, of course, you probably lost money. One of the people who call in and explains that they are a millionaire and they give financial advice on the talk radio shows. He said he lost 10% of $1 million. Wow, $100,000. And he said it didn't bother him at all. It didn't hurt him. But if I lose $10, it hurts me.
Brother Gene, another good suggestion, because I do follow the stocks, I do follow Forex, I do follow the markets. Another great suggestion as well is putting your money in precious metals, gold, silver, nickel, platinum. They're not going to not utilize these services even in a depression. They're still going to utilize precious metals.
Value. And this is Jason, right?
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes,
Jason,
yes, Brother Gene.
Play that disclaimer.
The views and opinions are those of Jason and no one else's. So, any investment in the market is not my responsibility if you lose your money. But again, precious metals is definitely a good way.
We have many options, and a lot of times it's based. What tends to happen when we lose money is the fear of dealing with your problem, when you need to address it. That's the bottom line, man.
Thank you, Brother Gene. Thank you for that financial advice.
Before he goes, my question is, are not those accounts handled by a manager? And wouldn't it be the manager's responsibility to make
no.
move?
It's your responsibility. It's not the manager's responsibility.
Because most of these
it's your
funds,
responsibility to call the manager and put them to work and make them work.
And most of these money market funds and hedge funds and stuff like that, they're losing money too. So you know.
Well, not necessarily, Jason, because remember, you can also bet on the stock market losing.
Of course,
you know what I mean?
Of course.
You could bet on futures.
But I'm saying that they're taking a hit as well in some cases. Maybe not 10% or 30%. Yeah. So thank you, Brother Gene.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, family, don't go anywhere. We're at 12:33 here on the Patrick Henderson's Meet the People radio show. We still have another 20 some odd minutes still left. Diane, I see you. Sherry, I see you. We're coming to you. There is a line still open for you. 410-481-1010. Don't you go anywhere. Don't you touch that dial. You're listening to Patrick Henderson's Meet the People.
Temptation, waiting on the other side of this test is everything you've ever dreamed, everything you prayed for, everything he promised you that you'd get. Waiting on the other side of temptation, waiting on the other side of this test is everything you've ever dreamed, everything you prayed for, everything he promised you that you'd get.
Talking the day, soul at night on the new 1010 WOLB.
Urgent announcement. Prevent the coronavirus and economic state from crippling your financial future. If you owe $200,000 or more on your home, you may be able to skip a mortgage payment or two without any income documentation or appraisal. Call the Mortgage Queen at 443-929-7772. For info, that's 443-929-7772. Get a lower rate, payment, and save thousands. Veterans encouraged to apply. Fire your landlord. Buy a home. Call 443-929-7772.
If you're in debt to the IRS, there's good news. Optima Tax Relief can help you resolve your tax debt right from the safety of your own home. Optima's award-winning team works with you online and over the phone, so you don't have to leave the comfort of your home to put your tax problems to rest. Optima's A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau and standing by, ready to help you today. Call now for a free consultation.
Call 800-799-0977. 800-799-0977.
Optima Tax Relief.
For details, visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Please join us every Tuesday right here on WOLB 1010 AM from 2 to 2:30 for the Senior Huddle. This is where we'll discuss everything related to all those great seniors in our community. Hello, this is Ted Travis, your host for the Senior Huddle. We'll have information about events, products, services that will make life a little easier, not only for seniors, but for caregivers working in hospitals, assisted living, or long-term care, or if they're just at home taking care of a loved one. We will have something of interest for you. The Senior Huddle was brought to you in part by Ascend Healthcare Training, an approved state training vendor for assisted living, MedTech, CPR first aid, and consultants for RSA, home health care, and staffing agencies. Get all the information for seniors right here on WOLB 1010 AM every Tuesday from 2 to 2:30.
WOLB Baltimore and WERQ FM HD3 Baltimore.
The views and opinions of the guest and host you hear on 1010 WOLB
are not necessarily those of the staff and management of Radio 1, its sponsors, or advertisers.
It's done unto you as you believe. It's done unto you as you believe.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Patrick Henderson's Meet the People radio show right here on WOLB 1010 AM. I am in the Kathy Hughes studio. Patrick is on home quarantine. Lemetria is coming to us from Texas on home quarantine. And, of course, the marvelous Doc Cheatham is with us as well. He is on home quarantine as well. Family, before we go to the lines, I see you, Diane. I see you, Sherry. I see you, Linda. We're going to come right to you. I wanted to just read. You can go to the governor.maryland.gov website to get a copy of the executive order just issued by the governor at 11 a.m. today, issuing a stay-at-home order for all Maryland state residents. And according to this, it's saying that those that are considered to be It says all persons living in the state of Maryland are hereby ordered, effective as of 8 p.m. today, to stay in their homes or places of residence, except to conduct or participate in essential activities. And essential activities are defined below, like, for instance, working for maybe a food organization, maybe working for a support system for the hospitals. It says that you may travel, if you are part of those essential activities, you may travel between your home and businesses and organizations only. And you may also travel to customers for the purposes of delivering goods or performing services. It says staff and owners of non-essential businesses may travel as designated below. It says between their home and to those non-essential businesses for the purposes of engaging in minimal operations. And minimal operations would be is to, of course, pick up groceries, to be able to pick up medications, things of that nature. It says here that, of course, folks dealing with livestock may also be considered to be essential employees. And there's a whole definition in reference to what is considered to be essential and non-essential. I'm not going to go through all of them, but I know that here at the radio station that some of us here have been designated as essential employees. We have to be able to continue to bring you news and information as it breaks. So don't you worry about us here at WOLB or any of our affiliate sister radio stations. We are still going to be in operation here to make sure that we bring you news and information and keep you informed. So,
hey, Jason,
yes.
Can you give us that website again?
It's governor.maryland.gov. And the executive order is on there as well. You can also go to thepatch.com. It's also available on the Patch newspaper. If you want to go to patch.com, you can see the order. The order is printed on there as well. It's about an eight-page order.
I wanted to make sure people understand when you said that we're quarantined, that doesn't mean we got no virus or nothing.
No,
that
no,
means
no.
that we're staying in our homes because I don't want people to see me.
Well,
and start running.
you're practicing social distancing. How about that word? We'll use that terminology.
Please clear that up. Yeah.
Okay. Can I also give the phone number for the Baltimore Franciscan Center? Baltimore Franciscan Center, 410-467-5340. Again, 410-467-5340. I find them a bit more accommodating and professional than the Maryland Food Bank. Maryland Food Bank decided to give an organization the food that was supposed to have been identified for the Matthew Henson community. They decided to give it to an organization who had not even talked to the community. They basically took our food. So Maryland
Give that number again. Give that number again.
The Franciscan Center, Baltimore Franciscan Center is 410-467-5340. For 5 days in a row, they gave us 1,800 packaged meals with sandwiches, fruit, milk, water, snacks. It's a quiet but outstanding organization that provides food. And Maryland Food Bank, you got to get your act better together. You should not be giving food away to an organization perpetrating to represent our community.
Well, hopefully we can get that straightened out. And I know some of the folks up there, Doc, maybe we can talk afterwards and maybe get up there and speak to someone up there in reference to that. Doc, give the information to as well as far as the senior check-in is concerned.
You would ask me for that. I had to pull it back up.
I wrote it down.
Well, yeah, I have the phone number for it, but just explain to the folks what it is, and then I'll give the phone number out.
What it is a number coming from the state of Maryland that if you're a senior residing alone and you would like to have someone from the state on a regular basis check up on you, that they will have a number that you can call and the state will do it automatically. We have checked into it specifically. It is a bona fide state-operated entity. They are going to be very helpful to our seniors. The Matthew Henderson community, we strongly support the governor's initiative to do this.
And the phone number, family, is 1-866-50-CHECK. That's 1-866-50-CHECK. And again, and I would greatly urge, as long as you do it with social distancing and not put our seniors at risk, check up on some of those seniors and some of the more vulnerable folks within your community, those who are disabled or who may have some sort of underlying medical conditions that keeps them at home. Check up on them and make sure they're all right. If you can, maybe go out and grab a few extra items, not to hoard for yourself, but to make sure that those neighbors share and make sure those neighbors have the opportunity to get some of the resources that are greatly needed in their homes as well. So,
Jason, brother, there's a brother on here named Charles Johnson.
Yes.
He said, beware of work-at-home jobs. The scams are up. He said you can call a temp agency, and they have plenty of jobs for work-at-home people.
Yes.
So there's an opportunity for people to make a little extra cash from their home since they're locked in. Call a temporary agency and see if they have plenty of jobs for people that are working at home. So I wanted to throw that out.
Yes.
And thank you, Charles, for that information. We appreciate you.
Yeah. Thank you, Charles. And all right, let's go to the line. Sister Diane, Queen Diane.
Good afternoon. How y'all doing?
Good afternoon.
Good. Hanging in there.
The young lady from Texas, is it Pat's niece or sister?
Yeah, that's his sister. Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I can't remember. I'm sorry. I am so sorry. Please charge that to my heart, not my head. But y'all have a wonderful show today. I'm enjoying it. Lovely information. The Francisco Center been around for years. I remember using it when I had my son. They were located up on Maryland Avenue between North Avenue. It's a very, very vital center for people that, need to use it and everything. And they have a little bit of training. They used to have a little bit of training. They would train people for certain things and stuff like that. And they also had a mental health piece, too, with their program. They had a mental health piece. But right now, I just want to know, did the governor say he was going to close the liquor store? Because I don't think they're essential. Why would you keep the liquor stores open? You said essential.
I agree with you 100%. That's a time bomb. People all locked up in their houses, cabin fever, children in there. You know how liquor makes your temper shorter. That was the one thing I can't understand.
But sometimes. I told you, Patrick, for some folks out there, I know there's mothers right now that have been 3 weeks in the home confined with their children, and they just need some mommy me time, with a little bit of Chardonnay, sitting, alone while the children are asleep and are able to unwind. So,
But you know what? Jason?
Mm-hmm.
Think about this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about you, but my grandmother had 18 children, right?
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have no they had the telephones, they had those party lines and stuff. You had to wait till somebody get off.
Right.
If they could have dealt with that back in them days, and even in the 60s where you had people who had 10 children, 8 children, and we didn't have cell phones, no computers or nothing like that, and they still kept their children active when schools was closed, and they wasn't really that closed for the winter because you still went to school when I had snow up to my knees. I remember crossing Windfall Parkway because my school was on Alto Road and Mount Holly Street, and the snow was up to my knee. We had a crossing guard and everything, and we had to, when we went on Mondays, there was no heat because they turned the heat off on the weekend, and you had to sit in the classroom on Mondays with your coat on. On Tuesday, you had to take them off because that's how hot it was. But we dealt with it,
right?
And it's like we making people dumber,
right?
Because of these computers and stuff. They don't know how to unwind from the computers. Then they got the children, another generation of children on the web too. There's nothing wrong with the internet, but you have to set aside where you have quiet time to communicate with your children, find out how they're doing, what's going on in their little minds and stuff, and just sit there. Don't talk back to them, but they will tell you a lot of stuff, what they're thinking about, what they're going through, because they are just as anxious as everybody else, because they don't know what's going on. School is closed to the 24th of next month.
Exactly.
They can't
and the one thing.
Right.
The other thing we need to realize, children need to play.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Don't be trying to get them to sit in one place. Give them a little room, a little space where they can play. They need to play.
You just teach them how to clean up after their stuff. That's what my son in his 40s, when he started walking and stuff, and he had a little toy chest. He put after you finish, you put them stuff back in that toy chest. And mommy, we played a little song, the cleanup song, and I taught him how to put them toys back up there, because I wasn't gonna keep picking them up. That wasn't teaching. That's why I always say, when you teach your child, that's their first job experience. They not getting paid, but they learning how to survive in society.
Yes,
how to be an adult. We have to get back to that. Our children are very intelligent, but we don't give them that credit.
I got to give a shout out to
property, and that's wrong.
I got to give a shout out to my son and his wife. They're creating a schedule and are setting. So there's time for the tablet time. There's time for activities, physical activities. They're also emphasizing learning. So they're, and I have two different age groups. So I have, a granddaughter that's almost 8 years old, and my grandson is almost 2 years old.
Right.
So there's different learning for each one, but they're still finding activities to kind of sit them down and engage with them and to teach them new things, and in some cases
Jason,
emphasize on some of the things they've learned.
Diane, tell me this: how many of y'all like to be screamed at?
I don't.
No,
I don't. And Patrick, I told you one time, I have my Grace niece and them sometimes, they twins, and then I have my grandson, right? And I have always told them stop screaming, because that was part of our life that, we always screaming at each other even when we're talking. So one day I made a mistake and was screaming. They was like, wait a minute, you told us not to scream. They just got back at me, and I said, you know what, y'all right. I told y'all not to scream, and I told them I was sorry. And my grandson, he said, Grandma, why are you raising your voice? Because I told them you don't have to raise your voice when you're talking, right? So they just bring it back. They bring it.
Can I add some levity to this? How many of y'all go to Baptist churches?
Huh?
Yeah. How many of y'all go to Baptist churches?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
how often do y'all ministers scream at y'all?
No, it don't work. It's turning the young people off. They don't want nobody screaming at them.
Right, and
I don't want nobody screaming at me either.
No, me either. But the children, they are like sponges, and if you teach them right, and you don't scream at them, you talk to them and find out, what's going on in their lives, even with the young men, on the corner. I tell them be safe, right? I don't want them on my corner, and they're not on my corner, but when I go down to the store, they right there. And, I told them be safe and everything. They started talking to me, well, Miss, what is this about, about the corona? Because they didn't understand, they teenagers and in their early 20s, they're young men. But, if you just talk to them and say, oh, I don't want to be bothered with you, get off my corner and all like that, they not going to, they turn you off. They just ignore you. But if you tell them, look, brother, if you don't do this around here, I got too many seniors and they can't run when y'all start shooting, they respect you for that and they move on.
Yes, they do. I wanted to say this. You're absolutely right, Diane. I saw where they're calling in the highway patrol,
right,
and to break up congregations, large groups of people. How come we can't get them to come up there on Penn and North?
Well, wait a minute, Patrick. Patrick, where I'm at Fayette and Caroline Street, right? Friday, I was outside because they put new windows in our apartment. Well, Friday they had the paddy wagon right there on Fayette and Caroline Street, along with the police. They was breaking up, and if they didn't move, they was putting them in the paddy wagon. The Baltimore City Police was locking them up because they had got the executive order from the governor. If it's a crowd and they won't disperse, lock them up. Y'all heard about the man in Carroll County had 60 or somewhere. I think it might not have been in Carroll County. One of the counties, he had 60 people in the house.
Yeah, in a house party.
He had a house party.
They locked them up.
Yep, they locked them up. So and in Carroll County, they said that if you come to these facilities and you're not wanted, you're getting locked up for disobeying. The sheriff already said that last night. So they are implementing. So Baltimore City is just slow about implementing, but it will be here. Some people will go to jail because
they're hard-headed.
Thank you, Jason. You took a word. They're very hard-headed. They think that it's not them. You know.
Yeah.
And when they say social distance, that's true because you're dropping. And I don't understand why they're not telling us not to wear masks, because even when you talk.
I think all the phone lines dropped out because I don't hear Patrick either, and I don't hear that phone hissing. I apologize, Sister Diane. From time to time with this new digital phone system here at the station, we hear some glitches. So right now, I think you've dropped by mistake. I wanted to say another thing too. You were saying that at the time, you know, your grandmother, you know, who had, you know, over a dozen grandchildren and generations of folks who have had, you know, 6 and 8 children. I think things was a little bit different then. Now, a lot of times, single parent households, folks are going out and working, and they're working long and exhaustive hours. And when they get home, their tolerance level for dealing with children, a lot of times I see in the community, you know, it has been lost because they are working such hectic lives or have such hectic lives. Patrick, you back up?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, there was a glitch. Sorry about that.
I really, really want everybody to be aware. Dorothy O'Bannon, bless her heart, I love her. She's such a vigilant person. She's talking about the reason they're not going up there and clearing off those corners because they want Negroes to die. Okay, but the thing of it is, if they catch it, they go back and then they spread it to their families.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, and they put the community at risk, you know.
Yes.
Unfortunately. All right, let's go to the lines, and folks, there is a line open for you, 410-481-1010. Sister Sherry, you're on with Patrick Henderson's Meet the People.
Hello, Patrick, and everybody. Be safe.
Hi, Sherry.
I just have this thing to say. Thank God for the healthcare providers, because if they all decide that they not coming to work and stay home for this virus, everything else is non and void. Apples and oranges, because you send it to yourself. So I can appreciate the fact that Jack Young wanted to do something as far as try to give these essential personnel like $200, because believe you me, those medical people ain't worried about no money. I was a first responder at one time, and if I didn't but we are dealing with something that's unprecedented. And my last and final point, pay attention to what Bernie Sanders say. Didn't he say health care should be a right and not a privilege for everyone?
Yes, he did.
What are we doing now?
Yeah, so I mean,
what he has been preaching, what Bernie has been saying is playing out. Is it playing out? So guess what?
Yes, it is.
All this stuff with Joe Biden coming here, with this new thing right here, it can change this whole thing around again.
It is, if people will just wise up and stop being emotional, talking about he was loyal to Obama. Who cares? You know,
is this socialism what they doing now with the $2 trillion and what did Bernie say, given to the big corporations? If they wanted to, everybody, you shouldn't have to worry about. They giving this corona testing to everybody, and your health insurance can't be so don't tell me what Bernie said can't work. Have a good day, Jeff.
Thank you, Sister Sherry. And Patrick, about that bill, by the way, I appreciate the fact that when the bill was finally signed by the House, that Nancy Pelosi had clearly established that there are no earmarks going or money going to private corporations under this current bill. And one of the folks that made sure and insisted that there were accountability measures in there, and Nancy Pelosi pointed this out, was our dear sister, Auntie Maxine Waters.
Yes, and Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders. So that's absolutely right. So you're absolutely right. Well, family, Jason, are you going to be able to play that song for us?
What song? I didn't get a message from you. And we have one more caller. We have Sister Linda on the line. Let's grab her real quick. Maybe you can send me the text.
Okay.
Sister Linda, you're on with Patrick Henderson's Meet the People. Good afternoon.
Okay, good afternoon. Hi, everybody, with y'all brilliant minds. I want to find out about, you was talking about the people getting Social Security and SSI. They can get the $1,200 where they go and fill out the 1040 form at.
Yeah, so you have to have a tax return filed for 2018. If you didn't file your taxes for last year, you still have an opportunity, according to the rules.
Okay.
You can go and fill out a 1040 and declare the fact, that you were, whether your income was Social Security or SSDI, just declare that fact, and then that will make you eligible to be able to receive the $1,200 stimulus.
Okay. So where's the website? What's the name of the website?
So you would go to the irs.gov.
Okay, irs.gov.
Mm-hmm. And you would fill out a 1040 form.
1040 form.
Now, I'm not sure if there's a 1040 with a letter number on there for those who are on SSDI or on Social Security, because I know that, like there's a 1040 easy form, if you don't have a lot of deductions, and there are multiple forms under the 1040. But if you look under there should be a designation for those who are receiving Social Security or SSDI to be able to fill out a 1040 form.
All right, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay.
You're welcome.
God bless.
And I hope that helps.
Okay, thank you.
Patrick, did you have anything else?
Well, I don't have anything else other than I would like to tell people, if you need a song just to help you through this, go to Patrick Henderson. Go to my Facebook page. I was trying to get the song on the air. I promise you next week we'll have it. I sent it to you, Jason. You didn't see it in your thing.
In my text message? No, I don't see it in my text messages.
Okay, it says the light of God surrounds us, the love of God. Light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever I am and wherever we are, God is. Wherever I am and wherever we are, God is. Just remember that. Remember, don't be in fear. It makes you sick because it's stressful, my friends. It brings your immune system down, and it makes you do things that you wouldn't rationally do.
Patrick,
remember that.
When you are depressed, cortisol is produced in your body, and that's probably one of the most dangerous hormones to have in your body flowing around.
Yes. So please, you all, go to my page. If you have your kids, bring it up, Patrick Henderson, and listen to that song. If you just need something to kind of carry you over and remind you that no matter where we are, God is. And he's there, and he's a comfort in these times. God bless you all. Thank you so much for listening to Patrick Henderson's Meet the People. We're not here to just talk about the problems, but we're here to offer solutions. And not only our solutions, but the solutions in your spirit and in your mind. So we're thankful for this time and thankful for each and every one of you. Please have a great week, and remember, stop screaming at the kids. Grab them to you and hold them and ask them why they feeling so bad. They're in distress. That's why they're reacting. It's not that they're being bad. There's no such thing to me as a bad child. It's just our conditioning. They just need attention and they need your love. So just hug them and pull them to you. And I tell you, it'll make your house a whole lot better. God bless y'all. Have a great week. We'll see you and hear you next Sunday at 3:30 on Spirit 1400 and here on WOLB 1010 at 11:30 next Monday. God bless. Have a great week. Thank you, Jason. Excellent job.
Thank you. Love your family.
And you cannot afford to lose your way. You come too far from where you started from. So please don't let the time you've sown be wasted.
The following programming is pre-recorded programming and is not a live broadcast.
To you all across the country, and good morning to our West Coast listeners, and welcome to those listening on Sirius XM, Channel 126, The Urban View, where talk empowers and becomes action. I'm coming to you live from our MSNBC studios in New York, and for the next 3 hours, it's Hot Button Monday. On Mondays, we let you call in from all over the nation and speak to whatever is on your mind, whatever's in your heart. Give your thoughts, your opinions, your views, your analysis. And many of us around the country are in shelter in place, locked down at home, restaurants closed, holding places closed, and in many cases not told to come to work. So you're watching all of what's going on. But what is your opinion of it? What is your views? What are your thoughts? How it's being handled, how it is not being handled, and what should we be doing about it? One thing you can rest assured at this stage now, some of us going through weeks, others just days, but this shutdown, this pandemic has changed life, and we may at some point get back to some level of normalcy, but it will never be the same. Last night, after I did my television show, we had a website, what they call a web conference, and several thousand people were on. We had doctors and Congressman Hakeem Jeffries, and one of the things that was clear to me as I heard the doctors talking about how it is likely that schools will not reconvene, commencement ceremonies won't happen, graduations won't happen. Some students, college and high school, even some secondary schools will have to do their final examinations online. Worship is not anywhere like it is. No churches, mosques, synagogues convening, having service online. No mass gatherings. Even a couple of friends of mine who had loved ones pass, you can only have up to 10 people at the funerals. Life is much different. And even when this is over, it's going to be questionable how people readjust to gatherings. Will there be a sense of nervousness, or have we become accustomed to a new normal? And sometimes things happen tragically that we find some positive in it to shift us into another level of existence and thought. Maybe the shift is in your life. And certainly as we look at how this government has handled this, the president and even some governors were in denial and waited until this coronavirus, COVID-19, had overwhelmed us. Did they respond? Well, maybe it's time to put people in position that listen to the experts and not listen to their egos. Some were so caught up in